I'm Teisha with Shalom TV's news update for Friday, February the 21st, 2014. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry met again yesterday with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas in Paris over the Kerry-led framework deal, hoping to extend negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians. While there were no real details or official reports from the talks, U.S. officials called them constructive, saying some progress was being made, despite several difficult issues that remain unresolved, most likely including the issue of the recognition of Israel as a Jewish state, something the Palestinians have said repeatedly they would never agree to. Kerry and Abbas agreed to keep in touch over the framework deal over the next few weeks. Meanwhile, U.S. Ambassador to Israel Dan Shapiro told Israel Radio this morning that he assumes that the Kerry framework deal will include a statement regarding the Palestinian recognition of Israel as a Jewish state. Shapiro told Army Radio it's too early to know what compromises and concessions both sides will make, but we do believe that Israel deserves recognition as a Jewish state. That has always been U.S. policy, that Israel is a Jewish state and should remain a Jewish state. That will be one of the elements of the framework we're working on. Shapiro added in what perhaps was a reference to the Palestinian right of return that in the end we'll need to know that this is the end of the conflict, and that's one way of verifying that everyone in the region and all of Israel's neighbors will accept that there is a nation state of the Jewish people here in the Jewish homeland. And the Jerusalem Post reports that Secretary of State Kerry hinted in an interview aired last night in Israel that not all Israeli settlers might need to evacuate their homes in a peace deal with the Palestinians. Kerry was asked by Israel Channel 2's Ilana Dayan what personal price the settlers will have to pay as part of any agreement, to which Kerry replied, "I'm not at all certain they will have to leave their homes." Kerry expressed hope that a deal would be made, but he wants it to be a good deal, and said he was working with both sides to try and achieve that. Kerry said, "One thing I know 100,000% is that you can't turn to the people of Israel with the prospect that what you are offering is going to turn the West Bank into Gaza." He further said Israel's security is ironclad as a priority in this issue, and I have said that from day one. A delegation of the American Jewish Committee met yesterday with French Interior Minister Manuel Valls in Paris. The delegation, led by AJC Executive Director David Harris, met Valls at the French Ministry of the Interior, where the group discussed strategies for combating rising anti-Semitism and other forms of racism. Harris praised the minister's determination in the cause, and AJC Paris Director Simone Rodin Benzaken echoed the sentiment, saying it is reassuring for Jews, other minorities, and the French people to know that Minister Valls and the French government are determined to fight anti-Semitism and radicalization. Further saying, we urge political, religious, and civil society leaders to unite in support of this national struggle against ignorance and hatred. Earlier this week, the AJC delegation also addressed growing anti-Semitism in the region when they met with France's Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius on Tuesday, where discussion also focused on negotiations between the P5+1 and Iran, as well as peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians and the ongoing conflict in Syria. The Simon Wiesenthal Center is greatly concerned over the vandalizing of hundreds of copies of the Diary of Anne Frank in several libraries across Tokyo. First reported by the Huffington Post, the vandalism has reportedly been taking place since the end of January in over 30 libraries across the Japanese capital, where pages were ripped out of at least 265 books. Associate Dean of the Wiesenthal Center, Rabbi Abraham Cooper, expressed shock at the vandalism. He said the magnitude of the incident suggests an organized effort against the renowned diarist. Cooper said, "I know from my many visits to Japan how much Anne Frank is studied and revered by millions of Japanese. Only people imbued with bigotry and hatred would seek to destroy Anne's historic words of courage, hope, and love in the face of impending doom." Cooper urged Japanese authorities to increase their efforts in order to identify and deal with those responsible. Japan's Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshida Suga called the vandalism, quote, "shameful," and said Japan would not tolerate such acts. And staying with the Wiesenthal Center, its Jerusalem director Ephraim Zuroff praised Germany for their recent arrest of 9 suspected Nazi SS guards who served at the Auschwitz-Birkenau extermination camp. German police arrested the men, now between the ages of 88 and 94, in the German states of Baden-Württemberg, Hesse, and North Rhine-Westphalia. Zuroff had urged swift action regarding 30 guards who had served in the death camp after the recommendation to prosecute the men by the Zentrale Stelle last year, Germany's main agency for investigating war crimes. Following the announcement of the arrests of the 6 this week, Zuroff said it is important to remember in these cases that the passage of time in no way diminishes the guilt of the killers, and old age should not protect those who helped run the largest death camp in human history. Zuroff said each and every victim of the Nazis deserves that an effort be made to hold accountable those who victimized them, and these are the last people on earth who deserve any sympathy, since they had no sympathy whatsoever for their innocent victims, some of whom were older than they are today. A commission of the European Union is expressing its support for the protection of Jewish ritual and regulation. During a meeting on the matter in Brussels, European Commission President José Manuel Barroso said he wouldn't tolerate the violation of freedom of religion in Europe that has been cropping up in regards to shechita, or kosher slaughter, and in regards to ritual circumcision, and that he would conduct a special meeting with EU representatives to further address the matter. The rabbis present at the meeting in Brussels briefed the Commission on growing anti-Semitism across the continent and recent rulings against religious rituals like the ban put into place in Denmark earlier this week regarding kosher slaughter, which ruled that animals must be stunned before slaughter, something that goes against the rules of shechita. Rabbis present at the meeting, including President of the Conference of European Rabbis Pinchas Goldschmidt, as well as the chief rabbis of Paris, Poland, Vienna, Brussels, and others. An interfaith group from Argentina arrived in the Middle East this week to promote peace and understanding ahead of the Pope's planned visit to the region later this year. In a trip organized by the Latin American Jewish Congress, which is the regional chapter of the World Jewish Congress, 43 Argentinian Christian, Jewish, and Muslim leaders, as well as politicians, landed in the region this week. Yesterday, they met with Palestinian Prime Minister Rami Hamdallah in Ramallah, and they'll be meeting in the next few days in Jerusalem with Israel's President Shimon Peres, as well as with Latin Patriarch Fuad Tuwal. They'll visit several Jewish, Christian, and Muslim sites in the Holy City, including the Western Wall, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. They'll also travel to Jordan and meet with senior officials there, and later they plan to meet with Pope Francis at the Vatican. LAJC's Executive Director Claudio Eppelman said, "We are undertaking a similar journey as Pope Francis will do in May. We want to show that Argentina can export our model of coexistence and interreligious experience to this part of the world." And taking a look at some entertainment news, American pop star Lady Gaga will give a concert in Tel Aviv's Yarkon Park this September, it was announced. It'll be her second time performing in Israel. The first was in 2009. And this weekend, iconic British rock band Deep Purple takes the stage at Tel Aviv's Nokia Arena. Some other acts coming to Israel include British-American 80s rockers Foreigner, who will perform in Tel Aviv and in Haifa next month. Seattle-founded band Soundgarden taking the stage in Israel in June, and 70s Canadian singer Neil Young, together with the band Crazy Horse, will perform in Israel in July. And turning to our Shalom TV programming for tonight, Friday, February the 21st, live Shabbat services are coming up at 6 o'clock from New York City's Central Synagogue, followed at 7:30 by the recent Friends of the IDF Gala, and then at 9, the film Paint What You Remember, a film about one man's childhood memories of pre-war Poland. That's tonight here on Shalom TV and ShalomTV.com. And that's Shalom TV's news update for Friday, February the 21st, 2014. I'm Teisha Bader. Shabbat Shalom.